All right, welcome everybody. It's great to be here. I've been a part of BTN for over 5 years, and I look forward to coming every Tuesday that I can. It's been great. You guys are like family to me. Unfortunately, every time it seems like I share or present, I have an open house that weekend before. And as all of you know, most of you guys know me, I put a lot into an open house. It takes all of my energy. And so I put this together yesterday in the midst of going through offers and showing a house to late goers yesterday. I thought about what I spoke about the last 2 times. And the last time I spoke about myself mainly, and that gets kind of old. And then I spoke the time before about the market. So what I figured I'd do today is I'd speak a little bit about each. And since I think everybody hears, there's no visitors here, yeah. No new members. So pretty much everybody's seen me talk about the way I do real estate, but I'll try to go over it real quick and do a quick summary and give everybody an update on the market. So anyway, this weekend was crazy in like opposite world, like the upside down. I started out with only 58 people my first day on a Saturday, one of my open houses. And then the next day we got like 79. So I did really well on a Sunday. I never get 79 on Sundays. So it was really a strange thing. I'll talk more about the market. About 8 months ago, I was sharing and everybody's freaking out. Everybody's on YouTube. Everybody's seeing all the stuff on the news. I don't watch the news for that reason. Everybody's just freaking out going, all my buyers pulling out. The market's gonna crash, the market's gonna crash. I came right up here and I told every single one of you the market wasn't gonna crash. And I felt really confident about that because I hadn't felt confident about the market since April 2020 and March 2020 actually. And I felt really good about it because I knew all the numbers and I was going over it and I felt comfortable. I was watching open houses, I was going out and visiting them and working with buyers, and exactly, it did not crash. It did exactly what I expected. Lack of inventory and all the interest rates and everything combined, it hung tough. It did drop 10 to 12% through September to December 31st. After the first of the year, it blew up. So basically it's supply versus demand at that point, and that's what saved us. We were dropping and it was continuing to drop, but people, I don't want to call them, not the boomers, the generation after us, they're all like, hey, I'm not going to pay 5.5% for a house. And then they woke up after Christmas break and go, 5.5% sounds great. So they all jumped back in the market and drove the market completely crazy. I was getting 140,000 over ask for most of my listings, 140, 150,000 over the 3 average that I listed after the first of the year. So supply versus demand, nobody's selling. So the demand was high. The new buyers are realizing that 5.5% wasn't so bad. So the whole story, we're right around 35% of normal inventory. So if you go back to March 2020, go back 3 years, do a 3-year average, and then you look at what we have on the market right now, we're it's actually even dropped since I pulled these numbers last week. We're about 30% right now of average. So that means 70% of the market is gone. 70% of the work is gone. Can you imagine in the construction industry, if they took away 70% of the work, what would happen? It would be incredible. It would be incredible. We'd be in a huge recession. We'd be spiraling out of control. So what we've done is, post-COVID, I had no idea where the market was going all those years. And post-COVID, so last year was the first year that we had a normal fall market. I had a listing that I listed in April last year, and they kept pushing it back, and we put it on the market in June, and they paid the price. The market started slowing down. Rates got up to about, what, 6%, Paul, around then? Something like that. And so the market started trickling down, and we dipped like 10, 12%, and then we came back up. So I was like, man, if that repeats again, that's the way my life has been, real estate has been since I can remember back when I was a kid, is we had seller season and buyer season. And buyer season is in the fall, and seller season is in the spring and summer. So, and that's the way it's working out now. So we're back to a normal cycle, and I can see it happening right now, and I'll talk more about that. Higher interest rates, man, it just keeps going up. Less motivated sellers. When you have, I'll use my property for instance. I bought a vacation home through Paul, of course, and I paid 2 3/8%, okay, for a vacation home. Why would I want to sell that property ever? Like, it's free money, right? So that's what everybody that went out and jumped into these properties and fought and scratched and did unethical stuff, whatever they did to get into a property during COVID, they got a great place. Even if they want to move, they aren't going to move. They aren't going to give up that loan. So they're not going to sell. The only people selling now, deceased. You'll see a lot of probates. You're going to see people that are relocating to be with their families. I have actually people moving from the Midwest back to California to be with their grandkids. So those people are coming back, and some of the people here are leaving to do the same thing, to go with because their kids moved out of state to buy homes, so they're going the opposite direction. And there was 3 quick categories, and I can't even remember the third one. But people, like the people I'm selling this weekend, they're going into assisted living. So your health is going to get you out of your house. Your grandkids are going to get you out of your house, or you're going to pass away. And those are the 3 people selling right now. So it's really bad. Sellers have a lot of equity right now. And the market is, even though it drops in the fall, it's not going to drop that much. It's probably going to drop like it did last year, 8-10% maybe, depending on areas. Like Garden Grove, it doesn't drop there. South Huntington, it doesn't drop much. Riverside, yes, it'll drop there. I was just speaking to Paul about Lake Forest. Lake Forest is smoking hot right now. So the equity that these sellers have, there's not going to be a big fallout in the market. It's not going to crash. They're going to hold tight. They have their equity. Even if they lose their jobs, their payments are so low that they're going to hopefully be able to survive. I mean, we're probably going to see some people losing their homes. I'm actually seeing a couple come up, but I feel that it's going to be very small. What separates me from the rest? Well, let me start out by people that don't know. When I was 8 years old, I got my first job. It was anybody familiar with Belmont Shore, 2nd Street, there's a place called Norridge Laundromat. It's on Glendora and 2nd. I washed that parking lot down at 8 years old every day on my way to school. Back then, we walked to school. We didn't have our parents drive us to school. And I got dressed, I ate my breakfast, and I went to school. And I walked down the street, and I'd wash that place down every day before school, and I got $2 a week. That was my first job at 8, and I've worked every day since. I went to college up in Northern California. We moved up north. College wasn't for me. I was racing motorcycles professionally, and I was working, racing, and going to college. And I needed to drop one, and what do you think I did? I dropped college. So, and then my girlfriend at the time decided that she wanted to settle down and have a family, and she told me to grow up. So I quit racing. We moved back to Southern California, and I got into the electricians union, and booted her, and went on with my life, and met my future wife. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I've got a great work ethic, and that's kind of what separates me from the rest. The beginning of the story is there's a big separation between, I'm not going to say all realtors, I'm going to say 95% or more. They've been realtors even since they were 20 years old, and they don't understand work ethic. They just don't. It's been way too easy for them. Like, I was speaking to one yesterday, and she was like, oh, my mom got me in the business and this and that, and I feed off of her leads, and I'm helping her transition into retirement. That's a lot of the realtors. A lot of them have been handed businesses, and they just don't understand what it's like to get out and pound the pavement. So what I do is I work for you. So there I go. I will work for you. I came up with this quote, and I am going to put a patent on this name, Lockbox Realtor. No one says that. I say it. I am not a lockbox realtor. And what that means is I don't get the listing. I don't walk in and sit down with the sellers and say, hey, what do you think the house is worth? And if they tell me, oh, it's worth 1.5, I go, great, let's list it. And they go, great. So we list it. I don't do that. I set my price, and if they don't agree with me, then if we can't work to some compromise, I shake their hand and go, good luck. And a lot of times they call me back 3 or 4 months later, and it happened a couple times last year. I got 2 in 1 year where they called me back and I took over and sold it in 1 weekend after it sat on the market for 3 months. In a COVID market, they couldn't sell, so that was pretty sad. So what they do is they take the listing, they cut the commission because 70% of the work is gone. So what's the first thing a realtor is going to do that can't negotiate a deal, let alone their own commission? They cut the commission. So you go on the MLS and you look, and everybody's got cut buyer's commission. Cut. It's all cut. None of my listings are cut. I give full commission to all my buyer's agents. I never cut them. It's a hard job being a buyer's agent, especially in this market. I wrote 54 offers last year, had 2 accepted, okay? 54 offers. And that doesn't count all the houses I showed. So they throw a lockbox on the house and they let it sell it. They sign in the yard, lockbox. They might do 1 open house and have somebody else man the open house for them. They're lazy. They don't want to work, and they just want the check. They don't care about their client. They don't care about future business. It's just not me. It's not the way I work. I came from a construction background where if you didn't make the customer happy, that was the last call you're going to get. And the name got around the industry really quick about how bad you were. And in real estate, it just doesn't seem to work that way to me. I see people get listing after listing, and they're not good. Their track record is horrible. 6 months on the market in COVID. How do you answer to that? I don't know, it's horrible to me. Anyway, professional and targeted marketing. So you go on the MLS right now, and I was going to bring in pictures. I didn't have time to download, and I've showed before in some of my presentations. These people are walking around with their iPhones, and they're taking pictures, cutting commissions, and throwing it on the MLS and putting a lockbox on it. They don't even pay for pictures. You're out $400 to $500 for pictures at a low end. Big deal. You're going to make $25,000 on your listing. You can't pay $500 for. I not only do that, I spend a lot of money. I spend a lot of money on social media. I spend a lot of money on flyering neighborhoods. I do 2,000 people that surround the house. I do mailers. I do hand walking. I do door knocking. I mean, it's endless what I do. I can't go through everything that I do, kind of give away all my secrets, but I do a lot, and I spend a lot of money. And my number one goal is for the client to come out with a net of more than they would with anybody else. It's not necessarily the highest price on the house, which I do shoot for, but there's a lot of hidden cost to selling a house. And just cutting the commission doesn't help. Eliminating repairs. Having somebody that knows how to negotiate. Feeling out people at open house. That's why I only sell at open houses. I do the selling. I find the buyers. I look them right in the eye. I look the agent in the eye. I figure out if I want to work with that agent or not. If I don't want to work with the agent, they don't stand a chance of getting it. I'm sorry, but they just don't. You know when you get the offer, if the offer's not complete, they didn't cross the T's and dot the I's and fill out all the stuff, you're in for trouble. You are in for trouble. A good agent has a good TC. They have a good team behind them. And anyway, so I'm not a discount broker. I think I've already talked about that. I'm not going to sell my soul. I know what I'm worth. I know what I do. I know what I'm worth. And paying my commission is nothing compared to how much money I'm going to make you if I can get you maximum offers and push the price up over and beyond market value. We've talked a little bit about my construction background. I'm not allowed to, as a realtor, speak about taxes or construction, but I can point things out that they should look into, and it helps with my knowledge. And a lot of times they'll ask me, well, what do you think that's going to cost? And I will give them ballpark numbers. I'm not the best at giving budgets on like painting and flooring. That's why I have all you guys. I'm really bad at giving pricing on anything but electrical. So I know electrical, and now I asked Johnny about a price today, and kind of threw me for a loop of what 200 amp panels are going for. When I was in the market, it was $1,800, and now they're going for $500. So times have changed since I was an electrician. My numbers speak for themselves. Okay, everybody knows my numbers, and I'll repeat them. I've been doing this 12 years. I've sold every single house that I've put on the market in one weekend. Okay, I don't use a lockbox. No other realtor ever shows the house. Nobody goes there unaccompanied, never. I'm at every inspection, the appraisal, all the repairs that need to be done to the house before and after. Guess who's there? Me. Guess who's checking? Guess who's making sure that they don't pay the contractor before the work is done? Me. I've had one house that didn't sell, and we all know about that one. I've spoke about it before. I got the listing in March 2020. It was listed at 1.6, and guess what? You couldn't get a loan for 1.6 back then. Jumbo loans, as Paul would tell you, they were gone. So there was no way to sell this house. I was between a rock and a hard place, but I took it anyway. I was like, I've been working with these people for years, and they finally wanted to list. So I took it on, and you couldn't show the house. You had to show it, you had to put boots, gloves, mask. Nobody could touch anything except me. They had to walk through like zombies, you know? And I had 7 showings in 3 weeks, and nobody bought. And I was like, this is horrible. Nobody can afford this house. What am I gonna do? So I did some targeted marketing. I circled all the hospitals. Who's working during COVID? All the hospitals, big ones, UCLA, USC, like everything out on the west side where people were moving down to South Orange County to like doctors and stuff. So I circled it all, and I spent a ton of money. Well, within 1 week, I had an offer for full price, and we sold it to a doctor, all cash. So that's what I did. It's the only time I failed, and I don't really look at it as a fail. I think I saved their butts, because the market was, as you know, we were right down here, the lowest we'd been, and I don't know, there was zero movement. I mean, you couldn't even get a home inspector out to look at the house. Oh, that's it. See, it was very short. So any questions? Raphael?
What do you like to do the most? What is the biggest challenge? You prefer to get a guy wanting to buy a house and get a house for him, or a good listing in a good location?
I started out, Raphael, as a buyer's agent because I had nothing going on, right? And so I specialized in down payment assistance programs. I started out at the bottom of the barrel, and I was trying to get these offers accepted, and I did, and I made a lot of great clients and made a lot of, I figured that was going to be my niche. I had no idea where I was going in this business. I'm going to help young people with no money get into houses. What a great thing to do, you know? And I ended up transitioning into listings and finding another niche, so I can kind of do both, but I really enjoy listings, I'll be honest. I really enjoy it. My favorite is going into a neighborhood, listing a house, and seeing 3 or 4 other listing signs, and going up to the seller and saying, okay, this one 45 days, this one 30 days, this one 160 days, and look at these prices, and going in and convincing them to undercut every single one of those people, throw it on the market, and then pass them all up and sell it in 1 weekend for higher than they're all listed for. That's my favorite thing to do, and it's happened to me many times, and a lot of referrals come your way when you do stuff like that.
Wow. So when you talk about your process and how distinct it is, and it's super distinct from other realtors, where, for realtors in the future and going forward, what does that look like in terms of how like a typical realtor engages with clients and properties? Like, do you see that something that's changing? Because with a lot of realtors and things that some people get upset about, they're not really taking the time to build up this network of people coming to see the property. They're not willing to spend the money on the photos. Like, they're just cutting corners in areas. Like, is that kind of philosophy amongst a lot of realtors something that you think is going to continue into the future? Or you think it's eventually there's going to be a comeuppance and it's going to shift?
I have a feeling that it's going to get worse. I really do. When I first got into this business 12 years ago, we were doing the shift to technology. So it was an odd time to come in. I came in during the biggest recession this country had seen since the 30s, you know, and technology was taking over. Most of the realtors didn't know what an iPhone was, you know, and people used to meet realtors at offices, and you'd put them in your back seat and you'd drive them out to houses. That's where I came in right at the end of, right? All my training was how to meet. They trained you on how to get people to the office, get them in the car, tell them to bring their checkbook, and you would actually write a deposit and they'd hand it to a realtor. That doesn't happen anymore. We don't accept money. So I just feel that it's getting worse and worse, and I really feel that buyers agents are going to go by the wayside. I really feel, because of all the internet and all the sites out there. National Association of Realtors has sold realtors to the farm. They're like the government of Nazi Germany. I mean, they are just the worst. They took all of our listings and sold them to that Realtor. Everybody used to think Realtor.com was ours. It's not ours. Trulia, Zillow, Redfin, you name it. Those people pay NAR to get all our listings. They used to drag it out and wait 2 or 3 weeks. Like they had to wait 2 or 3 weeks for our listings to come out on their stuff. They get them same day, 24 hours. They've sold us out, and then we have to buy leads back from them. So like any lead that comes in on my listing, I have to pay for to get it back. So I think that it's becoming a cutthroat business, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I'm glad I'm at the end of my working career. I'm 60 years old. I'm probably going to work the rest of my life, but I'm glad I'm at the end of it, because I don't see that being a realtor is, in the next 15 years, is going to be a great occupation, to tell you the truth. I mean, you can't take the personal out of this business. If there was more ethics and people stood their ground. See, here's the problem is, I talk to realtors all the time, and I go, you realize, I'll call them on the phone, I go, why are you paying 1.5% for the buyer? Well, you know, blah, blah, blah. I go, you're going to be a buyer's agent one day, and you're going to have to accept 1.5% after you've worked with this buyer for 1.5 years. Is that enough money for you? No, it hardly covers expenses. Exactly. Why are you doing it? It's kind of like being in a union. Once you give up money and I don't know, with benefits and just whatever, once you take a cut, you can never get it back. So these people are giving up every time they cut money. The only good thing is like, I went to my office the other day. We used to have like 85 people just at our office, okay? We have mailboxes, right? I counted the mailboxes the other day. We have 23 people. They're gone. So the good news is some of the scum has gone away. Like that's what I consider them. They're like scum. They're at the bottom of the trough, and they're just like dripping along, trying to pull money away from people that actually want to work, you know. And when the market gets like this, they disappear. I mean, those license numbers are only 6 months old, a year old, you know, and they can't make it. 88% of all agents fail in the first year. That's a big number, you know. And I felt like, I was failing big time when I got into this, and it scared me. I had a family to feed, you know. I had my electrical. I still have my service truck. It's funny. I'll do a cool, quick story. I kept my service truck, and my wife's like, "Why are you keeping the truck?" I go, "Because I don't trust myself. I don't feel like comfortable doing this." And after 1 year, she goes, I had 1 year in the business, and she goes, "You either sell your service truck or you give up on real estate." So I sold my service truck, and look at here I am. I put 100% into it then, right? I was just dipping my toe in the water before, right? So, yeah, I hate to say it, but I see the industry just becoming really bad. So, anyway.
In this environment of like just level pricing, increased pricing in real estate, is it potentially a good strategy for a new homeowner who has construction background and can go in, buy a house, and then change out the floors, update the kitchen, blow out a wall, whatever, and expect to do well on the other end, let's say 2 years later, and sell? Is that potentially a good strategy?
Yes, it's barely, it's not like it used to be, but if you do all the labor yourself, There's definitely a potential there, yeah. There was a point in COVID where you could buy a house that had been completely redone, and I don't mean flipped, I mean done nicely, like Paul level, you know, like just nice, you know, and it was selling for the same price as garbage, literally garbage, you know, and now we aren't seeing that. These people are coming into my open house this weekend and picking apart finishes that are, see, I can get on a tangent here. They're picking apart finishes that are completely fine. But us as Americans, we've been trained by corporate America. They do this every 3 years. We have to change the look of our house. Oh, your countertops are dated. Your flooring's dated. Remember when our parents had bought houses? How they, like, it stayed the same. You had the same refrigerator, same couches. My grandmother's house looked the exact same my entire childhood. Their refrigerator lasted 25 years, you know? Now stuff is throwaway. And I mean, these people are spending money. I mean, I just spent a ton of money on my kitchen, and I was looking at it the other day. It's 3 years old, and I'm going, because I see houses all the time, I'm going, man, my kitchen's starting to look dated. And I was like, wait a minute, don't be that guy, you know? But yeah, so yeah, there was a lot of garbage out there, a lot of garbage selling, and it's not like that right now. But I feel, and I feel strongly about this, real estate to me is the best investment you've got going right now. I mean, the stock market, if you're willing to risk it, yeah, you can make a ton of money in stocks, but you can lose money. I don't know too many people that have lost money in real estate in the last 15 years, you know, and I don't see you know, I've made a ton of money on my house I bought during COVID up north already, and it was a very small investment, and I've made a ton of money. And if the interest rates were better, I might even sell it and move up to a bigger one, like. But you know, I can't sell it. I'll never sell it at 2.5% or whatever. Was 2.25%? I forget what it is.
Something crazy.
It's, you know, everybody that tells me investment property is, oh, you got to pay 1% over what you're paying at your house. I'm paying less on my investment property than I am at home. I don't get it, you know. So yes.
Somebody told me, I think it was a Texas realtor. I don't know if it's California too, but it used to be you take a listing and you might not put on MLS and try to, you know, pocket list it or double end it before, right? But she had said, and I don't know if it's Texas or California, like 2 days from the moment you take the listing, it has to be on MLS. Is that everywhere or?
Yeah, that's here too. Yeah.
That's good, right?
Once there's two things you can do. Like the actual date that you take the listing.
Yeah.
Is one thing. It's in the upper corner. It's just the date that you handed them the paperwork. But the date that it's active, like it's actually your listing, you have I think it's 24 hours to have it on the MLS.
And what makes it active? Like what?
You choose the date. So the time that, so actually you can have a listing and it's signed, and if it's in that date, not in that date, I always do 6 months just because that's what I was trained in. But if it's before the date, like if it's pushed out, somebody could actually get that listing from you because it's not yours, you know. It's not yours till that actual date.
Oh, so you make it active.
And then once you have it on the market, you have to have a sign in the yard within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of that going on when I first became a realtor, is they were doing exactly that. The MLS had, the rules were really easy to bend.
Yeah.
And I used to bend the hell out of them when I first became a listing agent. This is how I first started out. I was trained on this by one of my first managers. Put the sign in the yard 3 weeks before and just let the calls start flying in. And I mean, people would be like pulled up in front of the house trying to get in, thinking it was an open house and stuff. And then I would put it on the market and hold it for another week. So it'd almost be a month. I'd have 300 or 400 people come to my open houses. It was crazy. And that's kind of how I got into my niche of building. And then the MLS started coming up with these rules. They always figure out a way to take something away from you.
Yeah.
So I was bending them, and then they, you know, it's just kind of like with taxes. You can cheat and cheat until you get caught, right? But I got caught. They warned me. So I follow the rules now, and I can't market until it's actually on the market. So what I do is I take the hit. I put it on. I used to do it 2 weeks before. I do it Monday. So I put it on the market Monday, and I have 5 days of legal marketing to do before my open house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And everybody goes, well, why don't you just put it on the market and have it available? I'm taking the 5-day hit on days on market, so all my listings sell now within 7 days. It says 7 days on the market, because of I put it on 5 days before. But I used to get away if you look at my past, it says 1 or 2 days, because I would actually put it on the market the day before the open house.
Right.
Yeah, so I used to get away with that.
1 week's still impressive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll let you get away.
But I don't actually, but it says hold for no showings, so it actually doesn't get shown to the weekend.
Right.
So yeah. What's that?
Assumable loans.
There are, and that's a new marketing niche for realtors. A lot of them are doing it, and it's actually on the MLS. We can look it up on our MLS, and we can find there's a tab now. They just put it in where I can go through and I can look around Orange County, and I can find people with assumable loans and go market them, and say, hey, you've got an assumable loan. Would you be interested in selling your house? Because it'll sell really well with an assumable loan. So, but there is always a difference. They're going to have to make up the difference, right? What if they bought it 3 years ago? Well, you're going to still have to come up with quite a bit more cash.
Big down payment. Yeah.
What is this, assumable?
Yeah. So you just basically take over the owner's loan, but you have to pay the difference in price because the price is obviously higher.
Different, you mean the interest rate difference?
No,
So-
Actual market versus the loan that
you keep the
got?
interest rate.
Yeah.
You can assume a low interest loan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still have to qualify for it?
Yeah, you do.
You still have to go through the same process
Yeah.
to make sure
Okay.
you
You
qualify.
do with the lender, yeah.
Yeah.
But qualification could be easier because the interest rates would be lower.
Interest
Yeah.
rates are lower.
Say
So
they-
you might qualify for something you don't normally, or at least today, you couldn't qualify for.
Say they bought it for $1 million and they're selling it for 1.3, so you're going to have to cover that 300,000, right?
With the same interest rate,
Yes.
because you're taking.
I don't know on the 300. Do you get to keep that interest rate on the extra above?
No, you have to pay the difference.
Pay the
It's
difference.
just- Yeah.
Yeah, but do you get the same rate that they're
No,
paying?
he's saying pay the difference in cash as a down payment.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to pay the
So-
difference in cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't up the loan.
No.
You can do loans.
You could do 2 loans. You could assume and do a
Yeah.
Second.
second.
Yeah. You can
if
have
the,
2 loans.
if the first lender will let you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
first
Right
property
of
I bought,
refusal.
when I got out of the army, I was 21 or 22 years old, and I had played Monopoly my whole life, so I was not gonna rent, so. I found a condo, I still own this condo, the loan was at 10.5%. It was called an NQNE, non-qualifying, non-escalating. So without a job, without income, I assumed the loan on this $60,000 condo at 10.5% interest. And then I just got 2 roommates, and so they were paying for the place.
Yeah.
And then like a year later, I refinanced it at 7.5%, and I thought I'd hit the lottery. So I did nothing, and then the payments, 30% less.
Yeah.
And pull out cash.
But back then, it was called NQNE, non-qualifying, non-escalating.
Yeah.
And you could just take, if Steve would let me take over the payments on his house, we're good.
Yeah,
I think they were a dying breed then, so I haven't seen one.
Do you write any assumable loans anymore, or is that kind of a thing of the past?
I haven't seen, I've had people ask me about it, but I haven't seen it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah.
How about seller financing? What if the seller, sold a home and said, here, how about if
Yeah.
how about if I sell it to you and then you pay me
Yeah.
the mortgage?
Yeah.
That can be really good, especially if
Yeah.
somebody's gonna clear more than 500,000 for a married couple, and they wanna avoid that gain.
Yeah.
Then they can do seller financing and have an income stream as well and not take that tax hit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very lucrative if you have the money.
Yeah.
Do
You
see
don't
those
need the
deals
money,
kind of-
yeah.
Do you see those deals at all?
Yeah.
That happening?
Yeah.
I didn't understand, sorry, what?
Yeah.
Seller financing, this is if you, if the buyer doesn't go through like a mortgage company, like a financing company or a bank to buy the property, they just pay the mortgage payment to the seller.
Like rent to own.
The seller becomes the lender.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
And we have some lenders
Yeah,
where
they
you
carry
can have,
paper.
you can have a
Yeah.
regular first mortgage, and then if you're short, or whatever,
The
get seller financing to cover the rest.
Can carry back
And that's
the
where what
rest.
I'm talking about, like, say they clear, 500,000 in equity, but anything over that is gonna be taxed, right? But if they financed that and gave it to the buyer instead, they provided the financing to the buyer, they wouldn't pay tax on that extra gain. They would just create an income stream for themselves.
And what about
So-
the title of the property, the instrument that transferred the property to you?
They would be recorded in second position
Yeah.
in that situation. So it's
So-
not as strong as a first position, but still.
So if you default, it goes back to the
It's
owner.
a
You
co-
take it back.
co-ownership
I have.
No, it's just like a regular loan.
in the
Yeah.
deed.
Just like a regular loan, they're gonna be on the, they're gonna have a recorded position
The seller is the
against
bank.
property.
Yeah.
And they can take the house back if you default on your
Right.
payments to the owner. They can take your house back.
The building that I had in Santa Ana that I did that, the owners did that with me.
Yeah,
Because I had leased that property for, 20 years, and another property from them. So they carried back the paper
yeah.
and, but it was a 10-year. And then I had to either refinance them, refinance at that point to pay them off. But at least they got payments and they didn't get
Tax.
a tax
The big tax
situation.
hit, so it can make
Yeah.
a lot of sense for them, cause if they
Yeah.
took the money,
Yeah.
paid the tax and then invested that money,
Right.
Yep.
they would be, it wouldn't be as beneficial.
And there was a clause in there that I couldn't sell, within that 10 years. Or if I wanted to, they were able to buy it back from me. Obviously, it wouldn't be the same, or, so there were different clauses in there.
protect
Or,
them,
or
protect
they
them.
could, exactly, or they could take it back if I.
And if you
sold
decided
it.
to sell it like 5 years after the agreement, how?
They had first right,
Right.
they
to-
had first
to-
right.
To buy back?
Buy
Yeah,
back.
correct, correct,
It just protects them.
exactly, all the way around.
But it benefits if you're buying it because you don't need to take out a huge loan. You're just kind of making payments without interest.
Yeah,
Or
you might avoid mortgage insurance, or,
Right.
it might be a loan that you couldn't get. Like say you could get up to 85, but you couldn't get to 90 or whatever the case may be. Well, the seller, if they carried it, you could do it.
is there interest then, like on
Yeah.
top of your
There,
payments?
there,
Yeah.
yeah, there was interest on mine, but I never could have bought
Yeah.
that building, there's
Right.
no way.
Is the interest kind of equal to the market, or is it higher or less?
Very
It's always
You can do
a
whatever
little
you
bit
want.
higher, yeah.
Whatever you can do.
Typically, or they'll negotiate.
negotiable.
I mean, yeah, exactly, so
But it's normally like the market, like
Usually.
yeah,
typically.
Close.
right, makes sense.
Because remember, they're in the second position too, right? So if, let's say the worst happened and the person that bought the house went bankrupt, right? Well, the person that had the first mortgage gets their money no matter what.
Mhm.
But there's a chance that the second might not get their money, right? Because of the bankruptcy. So it's a risk,
And
and
it's the
sometimes
fixed rate as well, right? Or
Yeah,
It's whatever.
usually, yeah. I mean, I see a lot of people do it where it's interest only. It's just an interest only loan.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's it.
This is great stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
Good conversation.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Steve.